You know as well as I do, the President of the United States in the last 24 hours called for you to be imprisoned. I want to give you an opportunity. We've seen your reaction on social media, but I want to hear what you have to say back to the President of the United States.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon.
Oh, brother.
Think about that. Who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And
never heard that
thing
before.
I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
Oh.
I was there today with Todd. We learned that the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members.
Antifa feels empowered to operate in the open because weak Democrats have turned a blind eye to their actions.
Yep.
Their hatred for President Trump and for law and order agendas fuels their violence. We've seen more than 1,000% increase in attacks against our ICE agents since January 20th. Secretary Noem is out there fighting for you firsthand to keep our federal officers safe, to keep our federal buildings safe, and we're not going to have it anymore, these thugs. We saw what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and you saw what happened in Dallas. No longer. This is not activism, it's anarchy. We can't and we will not let masked terrorists burn our buildings, attack our law enforcement, and intimidate our communities. Under your leadership, President Trump, we're deploying the full might of the federal law enforcement to crack down on Antifa and other domestic
y'all done messed up. Now it's over for y'all. The National Guard has made their appearance in the streets of Chicago as Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker do whatever they can, fighting tooth and nail to keep President Trump and ICE from cleaning the city up and protecting American civilians. They want to keep the illegal aliens in the country and keep the gang members and violence flourishing so they can continue to get that government money. But President Trump has had enough. Kristi Noem is on the scene, and they are ready to get it popping. They're in Chicago now. The National Guard has touched down from Texas, sent there by Texas Governor Gregory Abbott. We're going to see how real it's going to get. Is President Trump going to be able to clean things up just as he did in D.C.? We're going to find out. Let's get it going.
New bulletins from the Center for Internet Security and Department of Homeland Security stating ICE agents and facilities have been targeted by an anarchist website in Chicago. The law enforcement threat assessment from the Center for Internet Security says at least 4 Chicago area ICE facilities, including Broadview, have been surveilled with detailed layouts, diagrams, and photos posted to what is described as an anarchist website. Also found on the website, reviewed by the ABC 7i team, photos of ICE agents, including names, faces, and badge numbers.
There has been an increase in the attempt to gather information online and publish it even on websites publicly available.
A separate Department of Homeland Security Joint Intelligence Bulletin from this month advises ICE facilities and personnel face an increased threat from domestic violent extremists, similar to the 2 shootings at ICE facilities in Texas in September and July.
These are law enforcement operations, and these are law enforcement officers that are doing what they were sworn to do.
ABC 7 police affairs consultant Bill Kushner says the enhanced federal action in Chicago brings enhanced risk to immigration operations.
The more people resist this in a violent fashion, the more violence is going to be used to defend the officers.
Now, we don't know who is funding these websites that are being built to dox ICE agents. We do know that Pam Bondi said that she's working with Apple and these other companies to make sure these type of apps aren't in people's phones. It's not showing up in the App Store. That does not mean somebody can't build a website and share that somehow. There's all kinds of different ways people can do this. Where is the money coming from that is funding all of this? That's what we're going to find out. Scott Bessent is looking into all of this that comes with Antifa. They're going to be following the money. So sooner than later, we're going to find out where it's all coming from. Who is the Grand Master behind all of this organization? Now, I'm not directly saying that someone is paying J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson to directly defy Trump, but something seems off when the police chief is telling his forces to stand down and not assist ICE and other agents when they're being ambushed in fear for their lives. When you call the police, you're supposed to get help. How the heck is the police chief going to tell his men to stand down? You have to think those orders are coming from high up. Why would he do that on his own and risk his entire career just for his personal matters? That seems like something coming from a position higher than his.
And we also learned today the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police has issued a vote of no confidence for the supervisor who allegedly told officers to not respond to a shooting involving federal agents over the weekend. It happened when agents say a woman armed with a weapon rammed into their vehicle. Yesterday, Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling defended Chief of Patrol John Hines, saying there was likely some sort of miscommunication.
No, I don't believe for 1 minute that was a miscommunication. I truly believe that was a direct order. My reasoning behind that is because the couple that ambushed these ICE officers is already out of jail. They are already out of jail. There's no way these people had a ton of money in the bank. This is a case of another judge letting people off of the hook. This is what keeps happening. This is what keeps happening. You're telling me that these people can go boxing ICE agents. They had a gun. She had a gun on her. And she's not in jail. Her man, husband, whoever he is to her, is not in jail for attacking federal agents. Unreal.
Her cameras were rolling as the woman shot by federal agents was released from federal custody. Charlie just mentioned 30-year-old Marima Martinez, who was accused of ramming her car into agents. Here you see her leaving the federal detention center downtown this evening. A short time later, 21-year-old Anthony Ian Santos Ruiz was also released. According to the criminal complaint, Martinez and Ruiz forcibly assaulted, resisted, opposed, impeded, intimidated, and interfered with an officer.
I have never heard of one law enforcement agency not helping another when they call for help until this weekend. When a chief of patrol, where the Chicago Police Department instructed the police officers not to run in and help their colleagues who were calling for help, who were under attack by a bunch of people clearly violating the law. That's scary. Let me give you the antithesis of that. We had a single man resist ICE agents and get away from them in our community. We sent a helicopter, a drone, K-9, and 50 law enforcement officers to surround an area, and we found that guy who violently resisted ICE, and we locked him up in jail where he should have been. If you allow anarchists and criminals to run wild in your community, people will die. People will be shot. Now, let me say this. For other law enforcement leaders across this state and nation, you need to be standing up saying the same exact thing that I am. Because when you have a breakdown of the rule of law, when you allow anarchists, criminals to take over the streets and attack law enforcement officers and then not send them help, that's a slippery slope.
To our democracy, this president has made it very clear he doesn't support this Constitution. And if Congress, which our framers designed for Congress and the Supreme Court and the courts to provide checks and balance, if Congress will not hold this president accountable, I will.
And what are you going to do?
Well, just this past week, I signed another executive order. We have 3 sweeping executive orders to make sure that the fundamental right to protest is intact.
Protecting the protesters and having ICE-free zones to go directly against the president. You know, if they can figure out how to get this guy in jail, I would not be surprised if it actually happens. He's directly going against everything that Trump is trying to do. And so is J.B. Pritzker. So I don't think it's uncalled for President Trump to say what he said about, hey, these guys might be committing treason. Look up the definition. They are essentially helping the enemy, and that enemy is the illegal aliens. So if you're working with the cartels and working with illegal aliens and not working with ICE, not helping with HSI and government trying to come in and clean stuff up, well, that seems like treason to me.
Governor Pritzker should be calling President Trump up and thanking him for taking over 1,000 criminal aliens off the streets of his state. The same President Trump did in Los Angeles, the same he did in Washington, D.C., the same we're doing in other cities. We're there to make the city safer. And you think Governor Pritzker and the Mayor Johnson, their number one responsibility is protection of their communities. Remove public safety threats from the public. We're there to do that. And we're not going to stop doing it. They can stand aside and watch us do it, but we're going to be out there tonight. We're going to be out there tomorrow. And you know, thank God for Governor Abbott. He's sending troops out there to help protect ICE officers who have over 1,000% increase in attacks. So President Trump's doing the right thing. We're going to continue doing the right thing. We are not stopping what we're doing.
What do you guys think? Do you agree with President Trump that J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson should be thrown in jail? Do you believe that they are committing treason, or are they operating within their power? Do you believe that it's totally okay for them to go up against President Trump and defy everything that he wants to do when it comes to ICE, immigration, and getting the illegals out of the country, as well as bringing in the National Guard to clean up crime and assist with federal agents? Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.